Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda?
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
Second.
Approved. And the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion is approved. And let's move on to the director's reports. Good evening.
Good evening. Jumped right in.
I
didn't we?
jumped right in.
I'm going to go first tonight. Susan's going to talk to you a little bit about what she's had going on, and then obviously we're going to bring you some updates on the property of the 400 acres. In the parks world, if you're not aware, weather has changed. So what does that mean for us? We've pretty much wrapped up our mowing season, which is a good thing. If you haven't noticed, in the last couple of 4 or 5 weeks, we have re-landscaped the Jacksonville station. That was a pretty intensive job for us. It took us about 3 to 4 weeks of a crew of about 6 over there to do that. It looks really good. What we're going to be doing moving forward in that world before we meet again is Fire Station 4. Which is the new fire station. If you're not aware, the city has a new fire station coming on board. And I don't even know the name of that road, although it's right around the corner.
Marketplace, I think.
Marketplace, okay, which is the little cut-through road off of Gateway North that can get you to the Publix and that shopping center there. There's a fire station that's going up. The plan right now is that the fire department will be able to move to that building the first of the year. You know, we have a pretty close-knit group in the city. If you weren't aware, they were housed previously in the fire station in a shared space at the Commons, and which is a little bit further down from our building, and kind of right across the street from the tennis courts. And they sold that building to the county and had to move out by the end of October. So we've actually been housing them in our building, that crew, for the last month. And we're going to do so again through the month of December, which is awesome for us. And we're happy that we're able to house them and keep them in that area of Jacksonville when calls do come. So they're still able to meet the criteria for their response times. We haven't been inconvenienced by it, and while it's taken a little getting used to, I think the fire department's been appreciative of it. I know that we keep pretty good tabs on each other, making sure they are meeting their needs, and obviously they want to make sure they're not infringing on us, which none of that's happening. We're working very well together, and glad we can help them out with that. Just wanted to share that with you. If you haven't noticed, what have we been doing? Our decorations are up. We have over 250 pole decorations that have been put up throughout the city. We finished that last week, right before the holiday for Thanksgiving. Our tree was delivered last week. We got it stood up. If you've been down to the park yet, you'll see it down there. Obviously, it's not lit up yet. We're in the midst of getting it situated and getting it decorated because Susan will tell you about it. We've got a little event going on this weekend that maybe if you're available, we'd love for you to stop by it. And again, Susan will talk to you a little bit about that. The only other holiday decorations we really have left to do is the park itself. A lot of that's been done. You know, we really don't have a choice on this matter. We have to be ready by Saturday, and that park will be ready by Saturday, but just to give you an update on where we're at. So what else have we been doing? If you've been over to the Commons, you'll notice in the last 2 weeks, we've put a split rail, a different looking split rail fence up at the Commons. It's a white vinyl fence, and it's in front of the rec center. Our intentions are, as time goes by, that we'll take that over to where the ball field area is and that parking lot and put that up. It's a little bit cleaner look, a little bit more modern look. We've got a good response out of that, and hopefully we'll continue to get that moving forward. We have, if you had the opportunity to go to the Beirut observance this past year, there were some new bleachers that were purchased, and we had to actually assemble those bleachers. The city bought, with help from the tourism, bought 4 sets of those bleachers, and they're mobile bleachers. They're not the easiest mobile bleachers, I will tell you that. However, they served a great use at the function that day, as well as they're going to serve us really great for the baseball team at Jack Amyette. We're going to have some pads poured over there, and those bleachers will end up being housed there. So just be aware of that. If you've noticed, and I know Mr. Maxwell does spend probably more time than most here at the Commons, we've been doing a lot of what we call our maintenance on our youth fields. So when baseball season, although it's just ended, when it rolls back around, we're not starting from scratch. We're trying to keep up with that. So when the year does roll around, we'll already have done a lot of the legwork to get that done. For the Phillips Park people, we have done some pressure washing of the basketball court over there and cleaned that up. We also put up a different type of split rail fence over there, if you've noticed that. If you've been in the downtown area, we've re-landscaped that area. So if you've had the opportunity or get the opportunity, take note of that, please. And we've also, I'm jumping around back to those rotary fields. We've planted 30 new trees around those fields over there. So some of the trees that we had out there weren't doing really good. And so it was time for them to move on, and we put some new trees out there. Hopefully they'll do better as we move forward. Obviously, we will still mow as this year ends. Why do we do that? We try and mulch the leaves every once in a while. Now, we're not doing that every day or anything like that, but there are some areas where leaves, we don't have time to rake, and bagging really isn't a good option for us. So we will go out and mow sometimes to get those leaves up. I have 2 other things I wanted to talk to you about, and one of them is Phillips Park and the other is Northeast Creek. Out at Northeast Creek on the playground side, we have a contract to finish the restroom facility, the existing restrooms that were built in the 80s, to kind of doll them up and dress them up a little and make them fit the look of that side of the park. That contractor will begin work on January 2nd and has a 30-day contract that runs through February 2nd. So just be aware of that. If you're in or around that park, those things are going to be done. So that's awesome. Additionally, it slipped my mind, the second one I wanted to share with you.
You said Phillips Park.
Phillips Park. So about 12 years ago, we did a grant for Phillips Park to build. Some of you may be aware of this. Some of you may have no idea about this. We did a grant to have an amphitheater built, and we received a $500,000 grant to have an amphitheater built. We were so excited about it. We were just going to have something in Jacksonville. We're going to be so happy. And shortly after receiving notification from the state that we received the grant, we got another notification telling us there was a problem. Phillips Park was once a landfill. And if you're not aware, landfills have to be properly closed. Until they are, you are limited what you can do on those properties. What does that mean? The short story of that is you can't really dig until there's an environmental assessment done. So needless to say, we had to turn in the grant. Now, let me back up a little bit and explain to you, you can't dig. You can dig if you want. But if you expose something like methane or anything like that as a city, we then own it. So we would have to pay to have that remediated, whatever that means. That could be hundreds of dollars. That could also be hundreds of thousands to even up into the millions of dollars, something like that done. So the city hasn't done anything out there since that's happened. And that's been a struggle for all of us. That was once the busiest park in this city. I, for one, would tell you, I grew up in that park. That's where I played youth baseball. It's been tough watching that park kind of not be able to really get touched because we have some limitations on us. In the last 2 weeks, the manager has signed a contract, I guess, with the state to move forward with starting the investigation of what is wrong out there. And hopefully, and this isn't going to be today or tomorrow, but what the end game of this will be is, what can we do out there? What will we be allowed to do? And how are we able to move forward? We've lost 10 years at Phillips Park, and the bad news is we've lost 10 years. The good news is we've started finally. And that's really, I think, what Susan and I have focused on is we could have easily been waiting longer. At least the process now has started for us to begin to move forward at that park. Again, that's not going to happen in the next year in all likelihood. But the fact that we are so far ahead of where we've ever been, even just with a swipe of a pen, that things are going to move at Phillips Park. We'll at least have answers that we've never had before. And that's awesome. And I wanted to share that with you because it is a big deal. And hopefully we'll get good information and we'll be able to do something at that park in the next couple of years. So I wanted to share that with you. Any questions about anything I'm talking about? Feel free.
It's still being used as a practice field at some point.
Absolutely. The park is fine.
Yeah.
It's just, for a good example is you'd like to change the bathrooms there.
Right.
We're limited to what we can do with the bathrooms. All we can do is basically lift them up and put a new one down. Well, we could do that, but the question becomes, is that the right place for the bathrooms if we redevelop that park? And I'm not sure that is the right place. We've had a lot of different visions for what that park could be. It sits on Highway 17, it's visible. We would love to be able for people to drive into the park from Highway 17. Currently, you're kind of stuck, you're bottlenecked off of 17 and you got to come through a neighborhood. Well, I think our vision is somewhere around the world where we would see a road that allowed us to go from one end to the other and have 2 points of entrance. That affects where bathrooms may be, though. That's why, you don't want to spend bad money today and find out 2 years from now, wow, I wish we wouldn't have put bathrooms there, because bathrooms, they're not a cheap thing to build. So, good question.
Yeah, from our standpoint, we don't have really a whole lot of concerns on what's under the ground. To be honest, it's been there for a very long time, and we've done lots of great things there. But it's from a public standpoint, it is a park. It's active. Use it. Continue to use it. We'll continue to go down this road. But to Michael's point, this is such a long time coming. There's a long list of these sort of situations in the state of North Carolina. The list, last time we heard it was like 700.
Yeah, we are definitely not
was-
standing alone in this challenge across our state, across the country. Landfills were very popular for parks to be built
All
on.
sorts of landfills.
That's understood, and for parks that have already been developed or recently had been developed prior to maybe even the year like 2000-ish, you're good. But some rules changed around that time, and it creates some challenges for us all.
Yeah. So.
Great question. We're excited though. That's needless to say, it's a big step in the right direction. Thank you.
Before Susan starts, I do want to give some kudos out. The Veterans Salute, the whole event, what a fantastic event. Thank you for everything that you did out there. The band was excellent, the light show was excellent, and everything for that whole weekend. So Great job.
No, I appreciate you saying that. You're gonna see more of that in my One City moment because we have a nice video of that night. So thank you for the prelude to our One City moment, and then we'll get to that. But I appreciate the kind words. It was a good event, so. All right, so I'll go ahead and jump in. I'll do some housekeeping items from the recreation side of the standpoint, and then we'll kind of get into some nuts and bolts. And we have a nice little document that Megan's gonna give you in just a little bit. But I'm just going to give you an update from regular programming standpoint. Basketball has started on our neck of the woods as far as our programs go. We have at least 53, if not, I believe 54 youth teams that are playing, practicing, and gearing up for all of their games that will start right after Christmas break. So right now they are practicing, and they'll have some scrimmages right before Christmas. And then as soon as they get back from Christmas break, they'll have their games started. So good numbers for us. Again, I just have to say, thrilled to have Jack Amyette up and running. We opened that facility in February of last year, and so we were able to just tail end use it. It just helped us with some of the rentals and offsetting some of the challenges we have at the Commons. But this year, it's getting used, and we're thrilled about that. Jack Amyette has been such a nice addition, having that space and capacity for our programs. Saturday programs are really popular. We're doing some really good pickleball and some classes over there. So we're just really glad that we're able to utilize that and take advantage of the facility. So basketball, we have a new amenity in some of the parks. For those of you who have been around, maybe you've seen them down at Northeast Creek last week. We installed some self-serve kayaking machines or vending units, whatever you want to call them. But basically they are cages, and there's 4 kayaks in basically self-serve cages, and you can rent them by the hour. And so it's just a really nice way for somebody that might not have a kayak and take advantage of our waterway access. But it's $10 an hour, $5 after that. The TDA was very supportive, and they did upfront the funding for this. So we are able to have at the Landing, Riverwalk Marina, and at Northeast Creek Park, which is where we have water access points. So go kayak as soon as it's nice out, but maybe not tomorrow because I think it's gonna get a little chilly, but we're very excited.
Life jackets.
Life jackets, the paddle, and the kayak are all inside those units. And so it's very similar to you see in the cities about the bikes or the scooters. You do it on your phone, you put your code in, it unlocks it for you, you take it out, you go kayak, and when you return it, it charges you accordingly. So we just wanted to be able to provide some access to our folks to, enjoy our trails, our
And if you
blueways.
don't return it, it charges you accordingly
charge
too.
you.
All right.
They have, they said they don't have a lot of trouble with that because it will charge you. They have, some paddles and some vests don't make it back, but other than that, for the most part, they have a really good history of kayaks returning to them. So we're excited about that. If you have anybody asks, or you're at one of those sites doing a walkthrough, you'll see that. Let me know if it's getting used. I will get a monthly report, and so it'll show the usage. I imagine it'll probably dip down in the next month or 2, but hopefully we have a beautiful spring and summer ahead of us, so excited about that. Some other stuff coming up. Obviously, I would be remiss not to mention a large event we have coming up this weekend, and we have a couple of things wrapped up into that. So Winterfest is our large winter event, so the snow will be there, the ice skating will be there, we have all the beautiful lights the parks crew have put out. We'll have games, activities, Santa is available. We have lots of great activities at Riverwalk Park from 1 to 6. And at 6:30, we will be doing our tree lighting ceremony. So please come down there, if nothing else, to come to the tree lighting ceremony. And then consecutively during Saturday's event, starting on Friday, we'll have the artisan market at the Commons. It's a great partnership with the Crafters Guild that we have locally. They have 60+ vendors, all handmade artisans that have basically are vendors, and they're selling their goods and wares and nice gift options, and some really nice artists that are selling their items. So they'll be starting on Friday, all day Saturday and Sunday, and they do pet photos on Sunday as well. So just a nice add-on to their event. We'll be running a shuttle all day on Saturday. So we want to encourage people to come and back and forth. Truthfully, it's easy to park at the Commons. You take a bus to downtown, you get off at the front door, enjoy Winterfest, and you take a bus back to the Commons. That's really a nice amenity so that you don't have to look for parking or try and find parking or walk a couple of blocks to get to the Riverwalk Park. So we're excited about that. So tree lighting is at the end of the day, and I'll go ahead and put a plug in there because I want everybody to come down at the end of the night. The flotilla is moved up to 5:30 on that day. So the flotilla will be going on in the background, and they should be wrapping up by the time we light our tree. So it's just going to be a beautiful night, and it'll be full of lights and festive, good stuff for us. On this Saturday, well, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, downtown, Saturday, mark your calendar and come on out. And then following Saturday is our adult senior social. We do it every year, second Saturday of the month. So obviously each of you are more than welcome to come and partake. We just do a nice lunch for our older adults, and we just try to appreciate them and thank them and do something for them, and just have some nice fellowship. So it is open. If you're interested in coming, we would love to have you socialize and talk amongst some of our citizens. We have about 160 that come. So it's a good turnout. Obviously, it's a good meal, and so we always feel good about at least feeding, giving folks a good meal. But we have a good turnout. So if you want to come out, by all means, we'd love to have you on Saturday. So that's kind of some of our housekeeping items. I will go ahead and get into, before I get into our fun update on the 400 acres. Any questions on some of those items before we move into that transition?
Where did you say the senior social was at?
It's at the Commons. We do it inside the gym. It's a building of many trades. We get to all sorts of stuff in there. It's amazing what pipe and drape will do to a space. But it's a nice event, and so we would love if anybody wanted to come out. We'd be happy to have you. All right, so 400 acres. We're going to come up with a clever name at some point, but right now it's still just 400 acres, Williamsburg property, whatever you want to call it is the 400 acres. We have been very busy behind the scenes. I think last time we met, we just wanted to let you know that the survey had gone out. Megan has been very kind enough to print you. We talked about the survey. The statistically valid survey is going to serve two purposes. One is obviously it is going to gauge what it is our citizens think about our department, our system, or what is that they need, what is it that they want to see in the future. It is going to validate where and how we move forward. And so it's good in two efforts, because what we want to make sure we do is capture that statistically valid data for the 400 acres so we can master plan that correctly, but then also we're working on our own master plan, our comprehensive master plan for the department. So you'll see a couple of things in there. It is a big document. You're welcome to read it, digest it. It has some really great information in there. The first section in there, the executive summary, is probably the bulk of the info that you're going to want to see and read. But you can certainly delve into it like me, and I got into the nuts and bolts of it. But it is a really nice opportunity for us to see what we're doing right, which we had some really great feedback on that. We have some great facilities. People are happy with what we're providing. They like our staff. We have good customer service. It also shows us some of our gaps, which we know. We know where our gaps are, and so that just kind of validates what me and Michael advocate for when it comes to some of these things that we're like, we might need this, let's try and ask for this, because we know some of those things. It also will remind you that the time that this came out, which is going to be obvious when you start looking at some of those responses, if you'll recall in the public world of aquatic facilities, there was a lot of conversation in the community about a pool and the efforts that were being made in that regard. So you'll see that certainly is one of the first things that shows up quite a bit. The good news there is we can check that off the list. It's getting done, and the city has contributed to that. So while it's good information for us to have, it is also good information to know that we don't have to address that one of those very large topics of a swimming pool, because in our opinion, we've done it already. So kudos to the city for getting that one done. So, and the YMCA and all the other partners that are working on that. So I will not go over it verbatim, but I just wanted you to, it's a big document. And so I think there's value in having a hard copy. So thank you, Megan, for putting the time together, put this for everybody to see. Read it, call me with any questions, either Michael or myself are happy to go over it. It is really gonna be a valuable document for us moving forward. It just validates when it comes to like the question of what is it that you wanna spend your money on? That one's always a big one when it comes to these sort of projects moving forward. And I think you can all probably read that it says facilities, indoor facilities. And that's huge for us. That's a big percentage. And it just tells us that we are going down the right road when we are gonna come asking for, funding and what is it we wanna do on the 400 acres. So this is the starting point on that 400 acres. It kind of shapes a lot of the discussion. It did coincide with those public focus groups and all of the feedback that we got. We've been behind the scenes looking at lots of opportunities of what that 400 acres can hold and do and look like. So I'm comfortable in saying that while we don't have a concept plan to show you right now, there are concept plans being worked on. They have lots of different sort of feels to them. They have several different, I guess, focuses. So one is very much like, indoor facility driven and sports driven, where another one might be, if we do a little more retail and get some funding off of some retail opportunities, like let's just say an example of a Mayfair or something along those lines. And that help funds it. So you see a couple of different opportunities. 400 acres is a lot of space. It's a lot. We can do a lot with it. And then you see maybe more of a all recreation, not as much heavily on the retail. So there's lots of things being looked at, lots of things being discussed. Nothing's been decided yet, but the plan is for those concepts to maybe get whittled down to a select few, and then that will go before council in, I wanna say that February timeline. So they're working hard behind the scenes, and the idea is that we'll present something along with a cost estimate. No idea on any of this costing yet, not even gonna attempt to come up with the swag number, but we have some really good people on that team. The McAdams teams is the group of people that know, and they will do the cost analysis, and that will ultimately go to council in February. So I will have more news and updates for you in January. Obviously, every meeting that we have, I want to make sure to keep you abreast and keep you posted. We're also working consecutively with our master plan. Like I said, that we have this, and then we have our department comprehensive master plan. So when we get that a little bit more finalized, we'll be sure to share that with you as well. But lots of good things happening. And so if you have any questions on the survey, by all means, let me know. I think it has some really good, valuable information. And that way, if anybody asks you or puts you on the spot, certainly you can say, yeah, we are aware of that. Yes, we are gonna, and I mean, it will just help us moving forward as a tool on how to go about planning our system. Any questions on that?
Anything that surprised you? I mean, y'all deal with it every day.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell me what's.
I don't know that I have a whole lot of surprises. I would say that there was some of the feedback we got in regards to other sort of recreation was a different surprise. There was a lot higher of a draw for like the adventure, the zip lining, that sort of higher levels risk sort of recreation that showed up. I was surprised on that. Given the community, I guess I shouldn't be, but it showed up actually in this, and then it showed up a lot more in those public forum sort of meetings. That was kind of a nice surprise. Michael, what do you think?
Well, I'm not sure there was as much a surprise as kind of what Susan talked about. I think what we're gonna see and our community's gonna see at the end of the day is whatever's done and whatever, this final product looks like, obviously, years from now, it's not gonna be random. We're not sitting around a room throwing ideas around and saying, hey, wouldn't that be good? We've actually, we've had a professional study done, and we've gotten feedback from our community to lead us on what the community wants out there. And I think the other part of that is, some of the things we've heard for years is indoor facilities, which is high on the list. And I know Susan's talked to you about this, is we say we need rectangular fields, and we do, but we don't need rectangular fields anywhere near as bad as we need rectangular lighted fields. Having the fields aren't gonna solve our problems because it doesn't allow the teams to utilize them past a certain time. Lighting them is where we will see a value and the community sees that value, and so it's kind of neat to go through this process from our end and being the professional side of it, and then seeing a lot of that coming back from the public, you know, saying, yeah, that is what we want. So that's kind of neat. It's been fun. It's a great experience.
It is a good experience, and I will say to your question, Mr. Ross, there is a section in here that compares you to national standards. And obviously, I compare what we do to our state partners. We're very much, you know, we want to be on top of our trends and what is it that our neighbors are doing, but across the state, you know, but nationally, there were a couple of things that I was pleased about. And I can say that how do you find out about our programs was higher than the national average, because we're at 68% for social media. That was higher than what is nationally being done across departments of our size across the nation. But then that whole, how much would you allocate? $38 for an indoor facility. That was much higher than national average is. Nationally, when people answer that question, it is just fix what you have. Just do what you need to, fix what you have. And that's where most of your population is going to want to put their money towards it. But the fact that our community recognizes that we're short in those indoor facilities is a bonus for us to say to our counterparts and our folks that are advocating for our funding. This is a need that our citizens are recognizing, and across the country, this is powerful information.
They have value in who we are and what it is we do and provide.
So do you think that the social media aspect of that is because of the age of our community? Because our community is very involved in social
Technology.
media. Yes, they get their news from social media.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I take a lot of value in that comparison to the national average. On some areas, we might not get the mark, but on some of those, I was pleasantly surprised that we meet or exceed the national averages, which is what my goal is. Obviously, I want to be in the top range of what it is we provide our citizens.
And some of the things you guys put out there are actually pretty funny to watch. So
On social.
I will give you that.
Well, and I want to say this about this when you're done reading it. I hope your takeaway from it is that yes to all the things that have been said, but that the feedback we received from our public, and listen, there's some things in there that say, hey, you need to be better at this. But I will tell you overall, they're pretty happy with who we are and what it is we're doing. And you guys are a part of that as much as any of us. Obviously, we're very proud of that. We're proud of what our staffs do on both sides of the house as well as the whole city. But I mean, that's one of the takeaways from it that really kind of shines really bright for us, is we're really proud of that.
So both of you are satisfied that we've got good information.
Absolutely.
Large amount of the population has put input into this.
Absolutely.
And so you're going in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, for us, the right direction wasn't us in management sitting in a room deciding everything in a box. It was making sure the community is going to be the main drivers of what this area is going to look like. And for us, that's what is the most important. And is that happening? No doubt. No doubt.
Okay.
So this is probably the first of a few documents. We want to make sure we get you copies of, as we move down the road, there's going to be the master plan and some other things. But if you would prefer not to have the paper, by all means, let me know, and we'll work on getting you maybe a thumb drive or something along those lines. It would just be something for us to be a little bit more cognizant of how you prefer your information, and let us know. But we have some good stuff coming down the pipeline, and we certainly want to keep everybody at the table aware of that. So if you have any questions or you get any questions from citizens, neighbors, friends, certainly reach out to us, but it's got some good information in here. So if you take the time to read it, let me know. And
I noticed there's one in here about, they weren't happy with the Jacksonville tennis courts. Well, how does that affect, I mean, what can we do about
In the big
that?
picture, we share that information with the school systems, but, as you know, the tennis courts aren't part of our inventory at
Right.
Jacksonville High School.
Now, are we up to speed to where we need to be currently to the 400 acres? Because I know one time we had to do something before such and such date, and I
We're
know
right
we
on
did
the
that.
mark.
So I'm-
Right on
Right on the timeline. They've done a really good job of staying on timeline. I think about a month ago, I will tell you, we got about a week behind, and there was a little bit of panic in everybody that, oh no, they jumped right back and got us right back on schedule.
So you're comfortable with these people?
Absolutely.
very much.
And they're gonna go in front of council in the new year and kind of talk to them about the type of information that they've received from the public, we've received from the public, and start laying the foundation of of the development of 400 acres. Okay.
Okay,
Appreciate it. Appreciate the
Great
discussion.
questions, Yeah.
Yep. So by all
Thanks,
means.
Megan.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's it for me.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our council liaison is not here tonight, so we'll skip past that. And Planning Advisory Board report.
In our October meeting, we looked at a rezoning that is off of Western Boulevard, probably closest to where River of Life comes in. There's an area that's split zone. It's zoned commercial corridor and residential, and they asked to have it all rezoned the same, so we approved that. There was also, strangely enough, there was also something about changing some of the requirements on storage units. Years ago, storage units were different than they are now, and I'm sure if you've seen some on your way to Wilmington, you've seen some that look quite attractive. My wife's often voiced her opinion on those, that she'd like to go see them. I'm going like, well, we don't have anything to put in there, but she still wants to see them anyway because she thought they were interesting. So that's finally caught us also, and as you've seen that big place on Western Boulevard, it's huge. We also did some cleaning up of wording because of some definitions we had in our Unified Development Ordinance. So it was just cosmetic things. In November, we approved at least, Planning Board approved a tower, a cell phone tower, basically, probably the best way to describe it is almost behind Trinity United Methodist Church. It's not a communications tower for us, it's more a communication tower for a utility. So we won't really see any benefit from that. But anyway, we had some concerns about how far back it is, how close it is, and whether there was any danger to anybody if it fell. And of course, it meets all those requirements. Then we also did a rezoning in the area, probably in the back near Drummer Kellum Road. There's an area that's currently zoned residential low density, which means you can basically have houses there, but they've got to have a certain size lot size. But we were asked to rezone that to residential high density. So after some concerns about traffic and things of that nature, because when you talk high density, you're talking a possibility of maybe 200 units. We talked about the traffic that it would imply. And so we approved that, but they've got to take it before City Council. The last thing we met on was a proposal from the, basically the car wash industry or parts of the car wash industry. They were concerned about competition in car washes running car washes out of business. And you might say, well, what's the big deal if it's out of business? Well, the concern was that when you do a car wash, you dig stuff in the ground, you put stuff in the ground, and when you go out of business as a car wash, then it's quite a bit of work to rehab it, reuse that space. Sort of like when a gas station goes under. You've got to dig those tanks out, you've got to mitigate those circumstances. And so they were asking for some things that would help them stay in business. And after some discussion, we decided we would table that motion because they were asking like 4,000 feet between establishments. And just for reference, I think we only require 2,500 feet between adult businesses. So it's, that was what raised most people's eyes is, hey, you're asking for a bigger difference than adult businesses. But the person who did the presentation did a very good job. They're going to do some more research. And that's part of what the planning board does, is we're the first line of bring something before us. We'll ask questions. We'll help you decide what you need to concentrate on, what you don't. And so instead of having like 7 things that you want to present and not getting any of them, you might concentrate on 1 or 2 things and see if you can get those, and see if you can check in other municipalities to see what kind of rules and regulations they have, and then it helps your case. So again, we always have to remind people that the planning board doesn't shoot something down. I mean, we just make a recommendation and it goes before city council, and you can decide whether you want to take it as it is to city council, or in our case, we tabled it, so they'll bring it back to us again. And that was it.
Any questions?
I've talked enough.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll move on to our park reports. Mr. Ross.
Okay, Wooten Park, water fountain's fine, restroom's fine. The net had fallen off the rim, half of it. Net looked good, but just needs to be put back on the rim.
Okay.
The little toys, the little spring toys that they get on and wobble and everything. I was a little concerned, but they just have somebody go there and look at them, knows what they're looking at. That so that much rust, and the foundation looks like it's coming up over the dirt. You might want to just look at that for safety reasons. I saw where it looked like to me they'd put new swings or the rubber thing. That was good. But the park was neat, clean. Everything looked good.
Thank you.
That's fine, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry.
Richard Ray, bathroom's clean, everything was in working order. With the fall and winter, everything's dying and it just stinks. So you can't do anything about that.
Thank you.
Richard, everything's dying.
Jack Emiette, I tell you, man, that place is smacking busy on weekends. I mean, it is just overloaded with people, and it's great seeing that facility being used. I mean, this past Saturday, I think it was this past Saturday, it was just, they were parked everywhere to get, I don't know what they were doing, where they were going.
They were open for pickleball.
Everybody was there. There was not a parking lot or a side street that you could get to. So everything looks good there. Of course, the wonderful splash pad is shut down. Basketball court's fine. Trees around the perimeter's all good. So it looks good. I'll be interested when spring comes with the baseball team out there.
We're working closely with them, so yes, stay tuned.
Thank you. Mr. Spring.
Sherwood Forest, the basketball court's missing. Oh, wait, there never was one there, okay. Anyway, Sherwood Forest looks good, looks great. No problems at all. There were 3 or 4 people out under the picnic area just chatting when I went by, but they were just chatting, just shooting the breeze. I guess they wanted to get out of the house. It was awfully cold. I don't know how they stood it. The water fountain works, which is good on most days, but I imagine on Wednesday it will not be good because temperatures are supposed to be down to 22 Wednesday morning. But the good news, as I told my students, is that it'll feel like 19. So gotta love it. Branchwood. I realize now that Branchwood is part of a large walking circle for people. They like to walk all the way down and then they go all the way the length of Branchwood, all the way around and back, which is pretty cool. But I'll tell you what I noticed the most about Branchwood is that bridge. Have we replaced anything lately?
Yes. Well, no, we did Brook Valley's bridge, I'm sorry. I think
But that's the same bridge that was there when we replaced it with Trex or with
Yeah, there should be treks on that.
It
road.
looks as good as it was when it was put in.
did,
I'm
yeah.
just amazed. I mean, if you go down there and look at it, you'd swear it was just done.
So if you're not familiar with treks, and I'm sure a lot of you are, it's a replacement for wood. And when it first came out, the cost of it was
Crazy.
yeah, it was very high compared to getting wood. But we recently did some work at Brook Valley, and a couple of years ago, we did the one over at Branchwood, and what we found out that it's kind of closened up, and the value is it looks good, and it's a little bit safer to walk on, and that it's gonna last a lot longer than a piece of wood's gonna last. So we may spend a couple of more dollars on the front side, but what we're gonna save for the life of it is gonna be well worth it, well worth it.
And it looks like
Yeah.
the residents or the people that are using the park, they appreciate it because, knock on wood, there's no vandalism to it.
Right.
I don't know whether, I'm pretty sure it's not impossible to do it, but still,
Yeah,
Again,
it's not impossible.
my
You
question
need
to
give
you
them
was-
an idea.
were these all new again? Because everything looked new.
Great.
I liked it. It was good.
Awesome.
And that's it for Sherwood
Thank you.
and Branchwood.
Mr. Hinkle.
Hi. When you were discussing lighted flat fields at Northeast Creek, the lighted ball fields are like every night there are people out there practicing things other than baseball.
Correct.
So it gets
That's the challenge. We've got rugby, lacrosse. Yeah, we have several groups that are using those lit fields
yeah. I
in
mean,
addition to softball.
But remember, it's a baseball field that you're limited, you're not truly getting the size field that they would normally be on.
but they're out there.
Absolutely, and we're
Yeah.
utilizing what we have.
Yeah.
We just
so-
don't have enough.
Right. But they use it.
Absolutely.
They do. The playground is open till 9. But, it gets a lot of use, from like 4:30 when it starts to get dark. People are getting home, taking the kids out to tear them, to tire them out, instead of not up all night. But it gets pretty dark out there and we still got that one light out there in the trees all by itself. Think we can move that light?
We can look at lighting out there.
Yeah. Just the one, that one that's over in the trees, not really lighting anything. It would help all those people get their kids out there longer.
Yeah.
And there've been a couple of disc golf tournaments over the past 2 months, and the place is just packed. So they get a lot of use out of
They
that.
have gotten, we've had, I think, at least 2 tournaments out there in the last month or so.
Yeah, I mean, like every parking space is taken up, and they're back there,
It's a popular disc golf course. It's a very popular, it's well regarded in the world of disc golf. They like the course and it's just really well regarded, so people want to come and play on this one. Because it's one of the oldest ones in the state, Michael will tell you that. It was one of the first ones
That
built.
was one of the first ones.
And the nice thing about ours is it's got trees and it's got nature and it has obstacles, and that is a big draw. It's not a flat open field for them, so.
and they're out there no matter the weather.
I went out there at 7:30 to go look at the kayak launch, and I was like,
Backpack
they
on.
were out there playing
their
at
clubs.
7:30 in the morning. I said, okay.
Well, they're out there when it gets dark. I mean, 5 o'clock, and you're like, how can you see anything?
And they're a great group of people to work with. I will just say that we have a good relationship with the association that helps. I mean, they have a lot of ownership over that course, and they'll advocate. They'll work on any improvements. I mean, so it's a good group. It's a good group. We want to be good partners with them too. So
I'm sorry, I have not seen the kayak launch.
just go a little bit farther down, and you'll see them. They got in last week.
My dog hasn't wanted to go that direction.
Well,
She kind of chooses the route we take.
they're there.
Right, that's basically what I got. The rest of it looks great.
Thank you.
One thing about Northeast, I didn't know they did the cross-country meets out there.
Oh, yeah, it's really popular in the
Yeah.
fall, yeah.
Very
That's a
popular.
great trail out there for them to do it on.
Yeah,
All the
this
high
is my first
schools.
time seeing it, yeah.
All the high schools get together, they reach out to us, they give us a heads up, they work with our athletics folks, so we know they're gonna be out there, and we let, Scott.
They have a
Wow.
conference tournament there a lot
Have a
of the
conference
times.
tournament.
Yeah.
They're out
The
there.
middle schools are starting to use it. We used it for a cross-country meet for our
Okay,
IOP.
My dog wants to go with them.
With,
could be a challenge.
It's a great park. It gets a lot of usage for a lot of different things. It's nice.
Thank you. Brook Valley looks really good. Thank you for the repairs that you had done over there. Northwoods, I was surprised over the this past holiday weekend, lots of kids out there at Northwoods playing basketball and just playing out there.
You have a neighborhood access, you know?
Most of the time when I've stopped out there, it's been right around 4:00, 4:30, and there weren't a whole lot of people. This weekend, they were out. They were out
That's nice.
playing, and it looks good. It looks
That's great.
It looks good. So. Mr. Rogers.
Yes, ma'am. Georgetown looks really good. I was out there a few weekends ago and it looks good out there. The only thing I did see that I would maybe recommend or wish you guys could do is, you know, those two signs that they put out there for the Onwasa and the and the dog pound in the back there, you know, animal control. If we could just maybe put little paint on the Georgetown sign and spruce it up a little bit.
Okay. We can
Yeah,
do
because those
that.
signs look really nice, and I'm like, you know, maybe spruce up.
Comparison.
do
Yeah, compared to those. Yeah.
Competition is good. It breeds excellence.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Sturgeon City looks real good as usual. That fountain in the front there, the little green was, I think it's broken. Are you guys gonna take it up, or are you gonna?
Well, there's probably
Get
a
it back
bubbler
active?
broken on it, so we're
Yeah.
waiting on a part.
Okay.
That's generally generally wrong with the fountain.
Okay.
Well, we'll look at it. I'll make sure it's
Yeah.
looked at.
Okay. But other than that,
We
that's
could
it.
never get through a meeting without at least one fountain.
One fountain.
At least one fountain.
I didn't know if it was vandalized or you guys were gonna take it up, but yeah, all the little pieces, parts are missing to it.
Okay,
But other than that, everything else good to go.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Maxwell.
Phyllis Park, on the day in which I ventured out there, there was minimal usage. As it is getting darker sooner, there's no issues or concerns. The cabana's clean and neat as it usually is. Rails to trails, there's no limbs or debris on any of
Thank you.
the trails from, I call it Monument Park, all the way to Camp Lejeune. The Commons, baseball season is over, but the fields are still being used for skills training in the afternoons and on the weekends. The tennis courts are still packed, even though it's colder. Everybody's into the pickleball. And the landscaping of the entire Commons area is just amazing.
Thank you.
And even though the grass cutting season is over, the cabanas out there are great. And I noticed that since last time we met, there were several, I guess, softball tournaments going on out there on the weekends. And they usually play from 8 in the morning until it's almost dark.
They'll go as late as they need to get it
Yeah.
done, so, yeah.
But it's a lot of activity on those softball
Absolutely.
fields. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to say too that I did attend the Beirut Memorial observance, and it was packed. The bleachers were well appreciated, and the place looked amazing.
Thank you.
It looked absolutely
Thank you.
beautiful, and other people commented about how clean
Thank you.
our whole area was. So good job on that. Good job on that as well.
Madam Chairman. I didn't know where this fit in, but I was recently at a funeral service for a good friend of mine, and after the service, we went from the funeral home to Oswald Memorial Park, and more than one person was impressed with how the Jacksonville Police Department helped the funeral procession and get through town. It was like they'd practiced it like hundreds of thousands of times, but their clockwork, I mean, it was just amazing to see how they worked. And then when you got to where you left the city limits and hit the Onslow County Sheriff's Department, it was like a seamless handoff. So more than one person was just
That's awesome.
impressed. So good job, City of Jacksonville.
We'll make sure the
Good
police
feedback.
department knows that, public safety.
Okay, Susan. Our one city moment.
Yeah, so we had a event going into the weekend before Veterans Weekend, but we did a Friday night event. The powwow was the following Saturday and Sunday. We wanted to compliment them. I do have some great support in partnership with the Tourism Development Authority, Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority. And I'll just let the video speak for itself, and then we'll go from there. They're gonna play it, and then we'll. It was a great event. Amazing. So we certainly realized and got good feedback from that. Like I said, it was our first beer garden at our event. It was successful along with all the other amenities. So appreciate everybody that came out. Appreciate your support on that, and we'll see what we can do next year for it. So
Once again, job well done. It was well attended. Everybody had a great time. You had perfect weather for it.
it did. It was a
You had
beautiful
perfect
night.
weather.
It really was.
And the band was amazing. They were amazing. Good job.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else?
Come on out Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday. Yes.
Hopefully the weather will.
Flotilla at 5:30, tree lighting at 6.
6:30. The event goes till 6, and then we'll kind of shuffle people down to the tree lighting, and we are gonna light that tree as close to 6:30 as we can.
Perfect. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Approved. Thank you all. We'll see you in
Thank you.
January.
Good.